1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hi, my name is Mary Grace Graham, and today I will be doing my persuasive speech on how social media has negatively impacted teenagers. Who knew that being able to keep up with your friends at night and reconnect with old friends? I know for me personally, I grew up in Indiana, so being able to reconnect with my childhood friends and see what they're up to is extremely fun. But who knew that could have such a negative impact on teenagers? In the recent years, depression and anxiety in teenagers has skyrocketed. Not only have teenagers been struggling with this, but they have also been struggling to stay alive because of the suicide rates. With teenagers dealing with this, it's very hard for them to maybe keep going and try to get past it. The first point that I will be talking about is depression rates. Now, in a report by the CDC, 2.3% of children aged 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with depression. This is a huge thing. Teenagers' depression isn't necessarily always because of social media. Sometimes there can be trauma or different kinds of things that lead to these depression diagnoses. But teens that have a higher amount of time on social media tend to have a higher depression rate. In an article by WebMD, reporter Amy states that overall depression risks rose in tandem with time spent on social media. Compared with the lightest users that tend to spend 2 or 3 less hours per day, and the heaviest users that tend to spend at least 5 hours per day, had a 3 times higher risk of depression. Meanwhile, that risk was 2 times higher among young adults who were active on social media, around 3.5 to 5 hours per day. This is huge because in this decade, we really, with all of the advances of the internet and social media, we don't want this to have a negative impact. As stated on this graph, you can see the purple line on the top is kids that age from 15 to 19, and the ones on the bottom are girls that range from 10 to 14. 2009 is highlighted at the bottom, and that is when social media really took off. And as you can see, straight from that point on, it was completely an uprise. With the girls that were aging from 15 to 19, it increased 62% since 2009, and girls that were 10 to 14, it raised over 189% since 2009. And this graph represents the state of self-harm and rates in teenagers, which is absolutely insane that people are harming themselves because of what they might be seeing on social media or comparing themselves to on social media. Another point that I'm going to talk about are anxiety rates. Now, anxiety and depression kind of go hand to hand. When young teenagers may scroll through social media, they are more willing to see a post with a girl and say, oh, I have that same shirt, but it looks better on her, or I wish that shirt would look good on me like it does on her. And we just compare ourselves a lot without even really meaning to. And though these mindless little picks at ourselves may not be affecting us too terribly much, in the long run, they're going to affect us a great deal. In a 2016 study of more than 450 teens, found that greater social media use in the nighttime, social media use and emotional investment in social media, such as feeling upset when prevented from logging on, were each linked with worse sleep quality and higher risks of anxiety and depression. Now, although it's really great that in this time teenagers are more able to talk about their mental health and make it more aware that you're not alone, and we struggle with this stuff too, and it's all great. It also comes with a lot of people that are misdiagnosing themselves. They're seeing these videos on TikTok that are saying, oh, I had an anxiety attack and I felt this, and this, or I was really anxious today and this is how I was feeling. And kids are like, oh, well, I feel that too sometimes. And oh, I have anxiety. Like, I feel that. And although it's great that most people are being able to get the help that they need because they now realize that they may have anxiety, a lot of kids are also misdiagnosing themselves, where it could be a lot of other things causing all of this stress and anxiety side effects. Now, kids that are having trouble with depression and anxiety may resort to other things like the self-harm graph. And although it's really hard for teens to get through, sometimes people don't, and they dwell and they get bullied online, and it causes people to push themselves to suicide. In this graph, you'll see it's the same age, 15 and 19 in purple, and 10 to 14 on the bottom in pink. And 2009, you can see that the suicide rates have hugely increased in social media, with the girls 15 and 19 rising over 70%, and the girls from 10 to 14 rising over 151%. And like I stated, these may not be from social media. It could be a lot of different things, but I think social media has made it incredibly easier for people to be bullied online. I mean, cyberbullying is just a huge thing, and it's absolutely crazy that teenagers can sit on an Instagram or sit on Snapchat and bully people because it's just so much easier through text. It's crazy that it's easier for them to be upfront and to text them instead of seeing them face to face and talking to them, because you don't have to risk maybe getting punched or getting in a fight. You can just send something out and never have to talk about it. And I definitely think that this has had a great deal on why suicide rates have been so high, is just because kids are being bullied, or kids post something on social media that may not be the best, and you come into school the next day and kids have posted it and talked about it and are using it against you. Jamie Zielinski, an assistant professor at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, has noted that suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals 10 to 14 years. Further, suicide rates have tripled among youth 10 to 14 years, as well among girls, and suicide rates are significantly higher among African American children younger than 13 years. This is absolutely crazy that these 10 to 20-year-olds are committing suicide because they're bullied or they're struggling with their depression or anxiety. And it is crazy that they are pushing themselves so hard that they don't even realize that maybe there's people out there to help them.
1.
I think that it is incredibly important for everyone to be aware of what happens
3.
behind the screen. I do not think that it is important. I think it's important that kids should not be on social media 100% of the time, that they should have designated hours by their parents, and especially not allowed at night when maybe their parents aren't around. In conclusion, I think that social media has impacted teenagers' mental health tremendously the past few years. It is so easy at night to scroll through Instagram and TikTok before you go to bed and realize that those careless 30 minutes are affecting you so much. That maybe instead of those scrolls and likes and things, you take time and go through and maybe read a book or play with your pet or do something else. And I think that maybe in the next couple years, people will be able to have a positive mindset about social media and not a negative one. Thank you so much. I'm Mary Grace Graham.
One, two, three, 4, 5.